time. I love everyone so much. Thank you for
We
including. Yeah.
We love you, Jana. When I look at you and think of you at 4 years old,
Yeah, right.
you were a wild little thing, I'll tell you. Yeah, he's 4, right? That's the age.
Right.
He's 3.
He's 3. Yeah.
Yeah. How's everyone holding up?
You know, it's weird. It's a big silence. It's the silence of it. You know? That's the problem. I'm expecting him to call, die. He's not. And even when he was grunting at the end, I knew what he was saying was die, you know. So it's just the absence of it all that's so overwhelming. And I think I'm not even there yet.
No.
I'm gonna get to the cliff later, I think. And
Yes, that's what. Hi, Eric. That's what I was saying to Eric the other day. That right now you're still trying to hold it all together, but there's gonna come a moment when it's all gonna sink in, and
yes,
be prepared for that.
Well, I don't know how I can prepare for it. It's just gonna happen.
I know.
I think
that
it's
was
just
a stupid thing.
everybody has to just do it, you know, and live it.
Yeah.
And it's you know, it's just so strange. It's just so strange that he's not here in the next room.
Yeah.
But he had a wonderful life.
And nothing is wrong with your hearing, Mom. You have very acute hearing.
I do, but I have very good hearing.
mean, I'm telling you, when he was in that house, in that bed, and he would do a little grunt, I wouldn't even hear it. And you would be up and in the other room already. So yeah, you're going to be hearing that in your head.
You know, I always, when I was a little kid, I thought I was adopted because I didn't look like anybody, and I didn't look like the Hungarians. And then, like 50 years later, I connected with one of the Austrians on the Austrian side, my grandma Gussie's side, and I walked into this house, and they were all the cousins, and they just stopped talking because I looked like their mother, who I never knew, and because the Freeds all went deaf. So, you know, I get the good hearing from the Austrian side, I think, not from the Free side.
Interesting.
Yeah. Those genes, you know, they're all there, filtering down. Hi, Tracy. Speaking of genes.
Speaking of genes.
Speaking of genes.
I got
Tracy.
The Wieners are overwhelmed. They're outnumbering us now, for sure.
Yeah.
With Wiener genes. Yeah. Hi, Tracy.
How you doing? Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah,
Really
I'm doing great. I talked to your mother for about a half hour. A little while ago.
Anything new?
No, nothing. No, just everything's the same.
Yeah. Well, of course, you guys know we're just thinking about you. Oh my gosh, Sam Rapp. It's like 2 a.m. Wow.
Yeah, I think he's going to join here in probably a little bit. There we go.
No, he looks just like Nate there, doesn't he?
Hey guys,
Hi,
Those
Sam.
genes again.
Yes, those
Up in the middle of the night again, huh, Sam?
it's not quite 2 a.m.
Oh,
Not quite. We're almost there though.
1:40.
well, you know, for your generation, nothing to stay up all night.
Tamar would be here too, but she is asleep.
Oh, good, good. It's good to have a woman.
Oh, there he is. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So,
Cheers.
yeah.
The side.
So,
Thanks.
so I did want to just say that you all spoke so very beautifully, but of course you had great material. So, you know, it's not that big of a stretch, but, you know, our hearts were just with you guys and just feeling it. And we just, you know, loved everything you said. Of course, we felt everything you said. Of course, Mom knew everything you said, every story, everything. But, you know, we did too. And I was just very proud of everyone. And I don't know, it's a lot harder than you think. And you just pull it together and get up there. And you guys did a beautiful job, and your kids were wonderful too. And, you know, there's not much to do now except for go forward and trot along.
Right. Carla, this is Eddie's daughter, Tracy. Carla is my friend from Cancun because
I know who Carla is.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Tracy.
Okay. I didn't know
Sam.
who everybody was. And
Yeah.
Sam
Well, before Cancun, it was Seagate.
was Seagate, yes, it was.
It was Seagate.
But your claim to fame with this family is Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And Diana, I was
Yeah.
trying to remember, I mean, I really got to write it down. All those doctors that Uncle Si was working with in the fertility stuff, they were like, he and Dad could roll off those names 9,000 years later. Of course, I'm so pissed I didn't write it down. You know, my dad could do it right now. Who were some of, I mean, they were like the leaders and Si
Yeah,
was-
but you know, if there were 60 attendings on the OB/GYN division at Brooklyn Jewish, only a handful, maybe 10 were doing infertility, and they were just OB guys. There was no fertility society. There was no human genome. There was no genetic counseling. There was nothing. There were no sperm banks. There was nothing. So those 10 guys that did the infertility work, you know, the other guys would refer to them, and they were the ones that were doing, you know, the viscosity of the cervical mucus to pinpoint the, you know, the ovulation and all. So I remember all those names. Yes, I
yeah,
do.
well, you'll give them to me because they were, I mean, Uncle Si was right in there with
Yeah,
that.
the main guy was Arthur Square, and he was the kingpin of everything. He was very serious about it. Even cousin Harriet, Donnie's wife, went to him because she was having infertility problems.
Yeah.
And she finally did get pregnant, but it was just there were just a handful. But when you think about, you know, the take rates, they don't really know, you know, the percentages. And
Such a trip that it was
Hey,
so groundbreaking. I'll leave you.
the technology at the time was timing and turkey basters.
that's right.
I mean,
That's
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
that's as sophisticated as it was.
Right.
That's still what it's based on.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, they. Nice
But,
pun.
you know, it's funny because yesterday there were several people that called me, and people who were at the funeral that didn't know who Shari was. They thought that she was Michael's wife. They just didn't know. And today I got a call from an old friend of mine. She said, so the woman who got up and said she only knew him for a year and a half, you know, why did she stand up and say anything? You know, I said, well, that's Si's daughter. So you know, she just couldn't fathom it, you know. So it's certainly interesting. Life is sure interesting, you
I
know.
remember when Cheryl was telling us how when y'all met her, it was like you're sitting in this circle, of course, COVID times, and everybody, y'all are like trying to see like, oh yeah, that's my thumb is like that. And
That's right.
you know, it was just like the second she got up, I was like, oh, that's Mama. I looked at Mama, I was like, that's Sherry. That's
Yeah, that's right. Yes, yes.
so
It certainly added something to the something new to the whole scene, you know, that. And writing the obituary, it had to be separated out because when we're talking, you know, and I'm naming our children, and then he's got other children, and you know, so it had to be explained. And Michael came by to see me today and visited and read the obit. I said, "What do you think? You know, is it okay? That part about you and Shari, you know?" And he said it was okay, and Shari did too. So you know, because you don't know how somebody else is hearing it, you know.
I don't think it
So I
matters.
thought it was done. I thought it was done really beautifully.
Mhm.
You know, it wasn't making any group more important than another group of
No,
how they
they're
were
right.
birthed,
Yeah.
how they were created.
Yeah, right.
But
exactly.
it separated to be with the ones that were raised from birth to not. But
Yeah,
it was
with me,
nice.
the ones with me, and that's.
Yeah.
I
with
was
you.
looking
You.
for obituary and I couldn't find it.
No,
Where was it?
It's not up yet. I'm gonna post it on Facebook. Because I sent it to the New York Times and I got the estimate of $5,000 a day. I was gonna do it for 2 days, you know. And he said $10,250. I said, do you have like just a death notice that would not be 2 months rent, you know?
Mhm.
And he said, well, you know, just get to the basics. Well, the basics is still gonna be like 25 lines just to name the children, even if I left out there where they live. So I don't think we're gonna do the times. We're just gonna do we're gonna do the paper, you know, in Orange County where we lived for 50 years, and, you know, those people.
At
And
less than $10,250.
Can you imagine? And so I would have a heart attack if I did that.
Hey, for
Yeah.
50 bucks a day, it could just say side-dyed.
Let's
That's
run it
it.
for the year. Let's run.
But the thing is that now we know how much it costs to do those little, you know.
You're
not
right, now
little.
you know. And it was funny because when Michael was here, I said, the Times is gonna be like $10,000, maybe more. And he said, really? Is that possible? Yeah, really. possible. So that's not gonna happen.
Sam, it's distracting me how much I keep looking and thinking you're Nate. And when Nate
It's
comes
true.
on,
That's
when
right.
Nate,
That's
when
right.
Nate comes on, you'll see, he'll be
It's
on. in a few
unbelievable.
minutes. But you
Uncanny.
two really are like.
I think Nate's actually here in the attendees part.
You know, I'm just going to invite everybody up because I think
Yeah,
that
here's Nate.
no one seems to understand that they have to ask to come up.
Oh,
Even
So
though
I-
I keep posting this thing that says, raise your hand.
There he
Nobody-
is.
I feel
And
like
you got me that damn-
Oh my God,
Yeah, I think,
Nate,
Here
you're
we
right
go.
under Sam for me, so it's like,
oh
Like-
my God. Yes, yes.
right, exactly.
I don't
This is the
wanna
Brady
put it on
Bunch
mute.
coming up.
work. Okay, so
And then you have
I'll
to-
put my glasses
Please don't-
back
Oh
on. so
my
you can
God.
know the
Listen.
difference.
That's so funny.
Everybody.
Am I on?
Do you two see it?
Yes, you are, Craig.
I
I don't know. People sometimes can't see.
Hi,
that.
everyone. Nate,
Okay.
you're on
We see
mute.
you, Craig.
You can?
Nate, you're on mute.
Yes.
Where's Craig? Oh, there he is.
I know I was on mute. I was
Okay.
staying muted.
Trying to do the right thing, right?
Do you see it, Nate? Do you see you and Sam looking alike?
Tim!
Hi,
Thank
Tim.
you.
Is it just because we have a beard?
Yeah, take your
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No,
beards
it's
just
not.
like they add another layer of making people look alike, you know, if you have about the same shape.
You have the same coloring, you have the same shape, you're very much to me.
You know
It's
that
my
every
eye.
side always sees the
Tracy,
right.
do you agree?
You know,
I agree.
there is something,
Okay,
the Wiener genes are strong.
yeah.
I do see Chris in him though.
Oh, yeah.
Asha, I do see Asha, like, I don't know if it's like the top
Except-
3/4
except
of his eyes where they sit.
But
or
I
something.
also see Nate, Rob Wolf when I
Yes.
look at Nate. So it's strange to me when I think he's such the image of Rob Wolf to say, oh my God, but Sam.
I meant to tell you, Sarah, Cheryl, there was an episode with Rob and I.
Oh,
Don't tell her now.
Mm.
Later.
it's okay. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
You'll believe anything.
Okay, hi, Tim.
Hello, everybody. I was muted and I didn't realize it. You know, it's
Okay. It's hard to mute you. That's
hello, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you.
Catherine is out there and
Good to see
Ray.
He needs to let them in. That's why I
Yeah.
told them to
Yep.
come in early.
Yep.
So beautiful the other day, everything you said. And for me, you know, obviously, he's one of my fathers. I had my own. I had Father Gaquin to the south and two other fathers to the north. One's Dickie and one's Cy. And, you know, I am thankful every day of my life that Adam found me and brought me into this family.
We're thankful too, Tim.
And
Occasionally I get it right.
yeah, at this point in my life and way back then too, words sort of mattered to me. They still do, they're important. And when he came up to me and said I was handsome, hey, handsome, how you doing? I believed him. Nobody ever talked to me that way. Nobody ever said that to me. And, you know, when Dan was talking about learning more from Cy than he learned from his own father, I know what that feels like. And I learned a lot of things from my dad. I have a lot of tenacity that I needed. But I felt loved by somebody completely. And despite the fact that I was this weird alien, that's why he liked me. Unlike my own family and the rest of you too, by the way.
Yes.
But, you know, and the other thing is that, you know, when I became a father and had a boy of my own, I promised myself that I would never let my boy not hear that I love him. He always knew it. I always knew my dad loved me, but he never said it. And that, words matter, right? It really matters. And I heard it probably 100 times more from Cy than I did my own dad before I was 25. You have no idea what kind of food that is for your soul when you don't have it. I had it. Made me strong. I needed to be strong. So it's all wonderful. So two stories. Oh, and the other thought I had on there was, no boy has ever been told they are loved more than my Henry, except maybe Adam and Eric. Maybe. I still have a lot more time to say it. May I please live to about 120, because with a 3-year-old, I'm going to need to. So story one, I was going to be on the track team. I was going to be a sprinter. I had to pick a sport to get into college. And I was a fast kid and I was a good sprinter and I beat the senior sprinter, but I was never going to get that position. And the coach told me I had to do the walk. Do you guys know what the Olympic walk is? This is not a masculine thing. And I looked at the coach and I said, there is no way in hell I'm going to do that. So I said, all right, I'll play tennis. What was I, 15?
Oh boy.
That age, right? So Doc pulled out a old Davis Classic racket out of the closet, piece of shit wood. And I loved it. And I played with it for a while. And I went to James Way and I bought myself an upgraded Class Eden, which was the skinny version of the neck and a lighter and a slightly larger area for the ball. And I brought it back and he said, what the hell did you buy that for, you idiot? The thing has a sweet spot the size of a dime. And I'm like, but it's traditional. It's a beautiful thing. He's like, I don't care. You're never going to win a match that way. And I never did. I got my ass kicked all over Orange County with that racket. And I learned to play eventually.
But you look good doing it.
I look stylish, And I thought if Jimmy Connors can do it, why not me, right? Well, I'm
Handsome. You looked handsome.
Handsome.
Doing it.
So that's story one. Story two, when I was applying to colleges, which was kind of a problematic time for me, I was at the house, and because I was always at the house, and in many ways, I have never left that house. And I'm reconstructing it as best I can right here in North Carolina. And I was telling him, he was asking me what colleges I was going to go to and everything. And he was kind of pissed off at me that I wasn't going to go to Rutgers because having gone to school in New York, I got the Regents Scholarship, but I couldn't use it because I lived in New Jersey. And he said, well, why aren't you going to Rutgers? I said, well, I went down there and their aerospace program is kind of crap. I mean, they're like a bunch of mechanical engineers trying to pretend that they have an aero program. And at the time, there were 13 real aero schools. And I looked at them and I'm like, well, Georgia Tech is too expensive. Princeton is crazy expensive. And I went through this whole thing. And in the background, a Penn State game is playing. It's November. I don't give a shit about football at that time anyway. And I tell him I'm going to go to Penn State. And he launches into the Joe Paterno thing and tells me all about the legacy of football there. And I'm like, I don't care. And I said, this is the deal. There's a water tunnel there that is used for military research. It's the biggest water tunnel in the world. There was no computational fluid dynamics that we have today. It was just being invented at the time. So I said, this is the place to be. The NASA administrator will be my advisor. And I said, it's more expensive than Rutgers, but it's something I can barely afford and I might be able to make it happen. And he walked up to me and he grabbed me by the shoulder and he said, that's a good boy. Did the price performance analysis thoroughly.
So you got a deal.
Well, I didn't get a deal, but I made the best deal I could. And the thing about him is that I know what it's like to be poor and find your way. I've had a lot of help, obviously. I know what it's like now to live in a city for 30 years and be an occupier in a foreign territory in North Carolina, as I do. So I know what that feels like now too. So we have that in common. And the other thing we have in common, which my children mock me for, is I cry when I'm happy. I weep when I'm sad. I cry when I'm happy. And they love me for it. And they also make fun of me for it. And I loved him for that because I never saw another man cry until him. And cry happy. And it made it okay for me.
Oh,
Mhm.
beautiful,
That's-
Tim. Aw. He loved you. He loved you a lot.
Another one who had.
He also,
Is Danny Staple, who's here now.
yeah,
Danny.
he also, just quickly, he also flashed Tim.
Oh my God, yes. I wasn't going to tell that story.
You have to tell that story because that to me is the
Dad flashed
classic-
everyone.
He didn't
Yeah.
just
At
flash
some point.
us.
So,
At
He
some
didn't just
point,
flash me,
everybody
he
saw everybody
farted.
naked in Montague. I'm sorry.
He totally flashed us when we were playing D&D in the kitchen on the dining room table. And as he did so, he cut a fart. He said, "That's what I think about D&D." And kept walking. I was like, and I didn't know him yet. And I was like, who the hell was that? I'm like, that's my dad.
Hey, Lisa, I know you were asking to say something too. You're on mute though. Oh, there you go. Nope.
no, there she is.
I'm unmuted. Can you see me?
No,
No.
Can't see you, but I can hear you.
I see red.
Put your camera on. No?
It is on. I know, Joellen. Yes, Joellen's making
Well,
fun
you
of me.
you don't follow instructions. So, I'm telling the superintendent, the teacher of teachers, how to work.
So
Good crowd, Lisa.
why should this be any different from how you and I did homework together at your house?
Having high school flashbacks.
If you're facing something red, maybe you should reverse your camera. Just spitball in here.
No, I'm sitting at my Mac at work where I do all my Zooms. I don't know
That's
why
it.
it's not letting me in.
Right click and say, turn on video. That's what I had to do because my video was
Right.
off automatically and so was my audio.
Well,
Ah,
no.
that's just, well, I'm going to be red for a reason because red is love. And I loved Dr. Wiener and I loved your father. I loved your husband. I love your family. So red, I'm crying. No one can see me crying. I'm sitting in my office crying, getting ready to attend a football game that I have to manage. But, your dad was one of a kind. I say it in all the posts I see. He was a man who loved life, loved his family, loved all of his children dearly. Of course, Joelle and the princess, right? But growing up and coming to your home all the time was just something that I always look forward to. I knew we'd have music playing in the background, watching Die Inside dance, and just professing their love. We'd always be sitting around the couch or out in the hot tub, everybody chatting, and me always thinking how cool your family was and why didn't my family hang out like this in the hot tub? And, you just, being a part of your family was just so special. And your dad, the funniest thing is how many times, Joe, would he try to say something and be like, whatchamacallit? What do you call that thing?
I know, I forgot to include that in what he would say when he would call people. What do you call who's my what's? What do you call it? Exactly, constantly.
Yes. But I'm so glad that he was a part of my life. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
I love you, honey.
We loved you too, baby.
Well, I wish I could be there. So
Thank you for coming on.
thank you. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye. Bye, babe.
That whatchamacallit probably worked well in the OR.
Oh, yeah, totally.
As long as you didn't say oops in the OR, you were okay. Whatchamacallit was okay. Oops was the bad one.
I just want to say one thing that Anti, you weren't there that last time I was with Uncle Si, but Adam was, and Anna was with us. It was in September 2019, and the greatest compliment I got was we sat there all afternoon and had such a good day. You had something you had to go do, and we just talked and talked and talked, and we got in the car, and Adam looked at me and he said, okay, you got stories and things out of him I've never heard before. I had asked all these questions about his career, and they're just like treasures. And at some point I'll kind of compile them. I just knew it was such a great compliment when Adam said, I don't think I've ever heard that story before. I was like shocked. I was like, well, did you never ask that question? So anyway.
No, they
You
probably
did study journalism. I mean, you think you would have done it.
I really will treasure that day because it was just a good day. It's a good day amongst the many good days with them.
If you want to hear more size stories, professional stories, there's a guy on here right now who probably could talk for months to you and give you all the other ones you could have asked you, and that's Adam Romoff, who I saw popped in here a second ago. Talk about inside information on a long career from my father with every fucking story that there could possibly be. This is the guy who knows, he knows where all the bodies are buried, this guy.
Just so everyone knows, Adam is my cousin, my second cousin, and he's an OBGYN doc here in Manhattan at Lenox Hill Hospital. He practices there. And he started visiting us when he was an intern, or maybe before. I'm not sure. I think when you were an intern, you started coming up in the summertime, and so I would take him to the local little hospitals and take him on rounds, and he'd go in the OR with him and all. So I'm just gonna turn it over to Adam Romoff, because they had a phenomenal relationship for the last 40 years, really.
And it begins much earlier than that. I figured it out. I was 7 or 8 when Cy walked on the beach, handsome and intense and with swagger, and I was mesmerized, and he was a doctor, and I was dreaming about being a doctor. And let me just tell you, sometimes they say when you grow up, your school looks a little smaller. Somehow when you grow up, your memory changes. But I have to say, I was mesmerized by Cy when I met him when I was 7. And when I grew up, lucky enough to be a doctor, lucky enough to go to medical school and residency and go through all stages of my own evolution as a doctor, Cy has always seemed larger than life, a true chief of staff. His masterful skill, you have no idea. I think you do have an idea, but let me just tell you from a professional perspective, how just wonderful and glorious your father and your loved one was. I just remember when he took me on rounds, he began, forgive me, I forget her name, but with the sister who ran
Sister Mary Jean.
Sister Mary Jean. And he would always stop by her office. And I remember their conversation, and I particularly remember her look at him. It was loving, it was respectful. It was that kind of look that one senior professional looks at another, and think of where she's coming from with her own humane and religious background and in the healing arts. And she looked at Cy like he was just wonderful, and Cy was wonderful. And of course, watching him operate, and of course, watching him do a forceps, and seeing how his patients loved him, and seeing when I might have been going to for some reason shop with him, and he couldn't go more than 5 feet in town without someone thanking him and loving him. So that image of Cy is larger than life and just incredibly brilliant, has never ever changed and never will change. And the other image is his humanity, the way he and Diana's family just included everybody. Diana's heard me talk about this before, but just picking one thing, just the way instantly Uncle Dickie was, of course, invited to spend his life with you all, and how lucky you were. Because I remember on the beach sitting at Dickie's side and at his legs and just asking him anything, and he had a way of talking to you at any age, like what you said and what you thought mattered. And I know I've drifted to him, but it reflects on Cy's inclusiveness to have him invited into his home without any question, and how it so enriched your upbringing. And that reflects on on size inclusiveness. So just imagine, in my mind, just how extraordinary a man, a doctor, a master of healing arts, a loving father and husband, and of course he always wanted and needed Di at his side, and the two of them are together forever. So my love to you all.
Thank you, Adam. That was beautiful.
Hey, I just wanted to just say out loud for people who may be listening who are not seen. If you want to speak, I keep trying to invite everybody up to become a panelist, and a lot of people are declining that. So I'll just keep doing it. And if you want to accept it and join as a panelist, and so that you can turn on your camera and we can see you and you can speak, feel free. Or if you just prefer to lurk and listen, that's fine too. But if you really want to, if you want me to promote you, again, hit the raise hand button down below, and I can let you in.
Lurk and listen. I like that. People
Lurking and listening. I think that's the new hit song coming on.
lurk and listen. Yeah.
Lurking and listening at size Shiva.
Right. Hi, Lenny.
Well, I just want to jump in here real quick, if that's all
Hi,
right.
Sam.
And hey, I'm going to stop lurking and listening. I just want to, it was really incredible just hearing all of you talk yesterday during the funeral, and just all of the stories were beautiful. And I'm sorry to say, most of them I haven't really heard ever before. And, you know, if y'all remember, I'm sure y'all remember from like a few months ago when they were dedicating my grandfather's tombstone, you know, we kind of sat, a bunch of us afterward, and just talked and reminisced a little bit. And I think it was Adam I mentioned this to, was that just hearing his voice a few times over the past year since my grandfather passed has just been, they just spoke so similarly, and it was such a comfort for me. And I think that's like, you know, unfortunately, like a lot of my life, you know, we were all the way down in Tennessee, y'all were all the way up in New York, and we just didn't see each other very often. But I mean, that's something I'm going to hold with me forever, that even after he passed, I had this little time where I got to take a glimpse into a earlier part of my grandfather's life, and it's something I'm just so grateful for. And that's all I'm going to say. I gotta, as we already mentioned before, we have officially passed 2 a.m. here, so I'm gonna head out. But I love you all so much, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Bye, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Bye, Sam.
Love you.
That'd be great, Sam. I'm looking forward to it.
Love you.
Love you back.
That foursome from 612 Argyle Road, they all grown up. That was the nuclear family that they came from, that my dad came from. You know, I can definitely hear Eddie's voice. I mean, Eddie always sounded like my father with a Southern accent, to be quite honest. It's
my
like
grandfather had a Southern accent.
Yeah, he never heard it. We heard it. Well,
a Brooklyn Memphian. I mean, it was a Memphian accent with Brooklyn in it as well. It was wonderful.
Y'all
It was
schmucks.
unique.
Yeah, y'all schmucks. Right.
Y'all schmucks.
Right.
All right.
Okay, bye, Sam.
Sweet dreams, Sam.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hello, Sharon Michelle.
Hi. All right. I had to I wrote down, but I'll try to keep it brief because I know there's so many folks paying tribute to Cy. So I'm gonna I'm not good unless I read off a page. I met Cheryl freshman year in Cook College, and we became fast friends. I'm going to start crying. We became fast friends. Like any friend of a Wiener kid, I was welcomed with open arms and quickly became an extended part of the family. I treasured those joyful days spending time with Cheryl's family at their Montague home, especially when we all gathered around the dining table and shared our stories, savoring every minute of the love and laughter that permeated their house. The story I want to share about Cy is one that Cheryl and Diana will surely guess I'm going to tell. It is no doubt the quintessential story that they think of when they think of Cheryl's friend Sharon. It's a funny story in a way that any friend of the Wieners will immediately recognize. And it's also TMI, but since Cy's family is my family, I don't feel too self-conscious about oversharing. Although it has, what? Although it has become one of our beloved running jokes over the years, it has a much deeper meaning to me because it perfectly encapsulates the beautiful heart of Cy. It was the early 90s, or was it the late 80s? And Cheryl's parents were throwing a huge engagement party in her home. And what a party it was.
It was May 1988.
Oh, it was the late 80s. Okay. It was Cheryl's engagement party. Throngs of us enthusiastic young people filling the pool, hot tub, and every corner of the house and property. You only need to use your imagination to picture the fun and shenanigans happening at that party. I brought with me my soon-to-be fiancé, and we joined the merrymakers. Partway through the evening, I went into the bathroom to remove my contraceptive sponge and put a fresh one in.
Typical Wiener household party.
So Ellen knows the story, the Wiener kid, Adam, I'm sure you've heard it. Eric.
I mean,
but
your name is Sharon Sponge. That's what you went.
Don't give
We all know the story.
No, don't give the punchline.
I'm sorry.
Sponge Michelle.
We didn't know
Sponge Michelle.
We're going to have to expunge the record.
Well, this spiraled out of control quickly, huh?
Sarah, finish your story. Come on, guys.
All right, finish the story. I'm sorry.
I wrote this story remarks.
Oh my God.
All right, so I went into the bathroom to remove my current sponge and put a fresh one in. But at that moment, a most disconcerting thing happened. I couldn't get the damn thing out. It had suctioned itself onto my cervix. Oh, no. And every time I pulled, it felt like I was pulling my entire uterus out along with it. I quietly went to Cy for advice on the matter and learned that this was one of several reasons the sponge was shortly coming off the market, because it sometimes suctioned on like a vice and could then cause infections if you didn't get it out in a timely manner. Mine had been in for almost 24 hours by that point, so the next step was going to have to be I would need to get myself to a doctor to get this thing out as quickly as possible. But where would I find a doctor on a weekend evening in the middle of rural Montague?
It's the
Cy,
living room. So
What?
Right
It's a-
there in the living room. That's where
yeah,
you're
it's a
talking.
full. We provided every service imaginable at our party. We definitely did. You gotta give Sign Dye credit. They really had every department covered, right? I mean,
Friendship, gynecological visits, you name it. Sign immediately understood my dilemma. Within seconds, he decided to do it himself. I mean, there was no second guessing. He just decided then and there that he would get my sponge out. So on one of the biggest nights of his daughter's life, with a gigantic party in full swing at his home, he gave us directions to his office in Port Jervis to pick up and bring back his medical kit, whereupon he threw a bunch of revelers out of one of the bedrooms and proceeded to remove my sponge. What a relief. But more to the point, what a kind and beautiful gesture he did for me. I will never forget the kindness of that act, and it is something that I'll always carry with me. Of course, over the years, we would still chuckle about it. It became part of our shared lore. We would sometimes make sly references to the old criteria of whether any particular guy is sponge-worthy or not, a la Elaine of Seinfeld. That soon-to-be fiance eventually became my husband and turned out to not be sponge-worthy at all. There too, I was comforted by the presence of Cy, Diana, Cheryl, and their wonderful family. So thank you, Cy, for your gift of true kindness, generosity, and laughter, for being there for me when I needed help. Thank you for raising such an awesome family who brought me countless moments of joy. And thank you for my dear friend Cheryl, who I love with all my heart and cannot imagine life without. May you rest in peace, and may your memory forever be a blessing to your beautiful family.
Thank you, Sharon.
that need
I love
all that
you.
needs is a thank you and good night, and then you get the mic. I don't know who follows a story like that.
No one has a story like that.
But I have a bit of a segue for you, if this makes you feel any better. At all those at our houses over the years and all those get-togethers that there was always little mishaps. And even when we were little, someone would get a scrape or cut, whatever. And, we'd always wind up.
Can't imagine why.
My dad would be breaking out, the butterfly bandages or something, and he always started by scaring the crap out of my buddy, who he was about to work on, saying, look, you're okay. Everything's going to be fine. But I'm OBGYN. This may look like a vagina when I'm done.
He was that a lot. Yeah. He said, this thing's going to heal perfectly, but you may be growing pubic hair on
The worried looks in their
That's
faces
how we get
was
everybody
wonderful.
coming back to the house.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't come for the love and laughter. I came to get my, sponge removed.
He was so serious and professional about it that initially they almost always believed him, or at least they got worried. Okay.
I think I've heard him say that.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon. That was great.
Thank you. I knew you guys were going to know that, that's the story I was going to tell.
Yes, we hoped. I hoped you would.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna mute myself now, but I'm listening.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who's got something after that. The bar is really high right now. Okay, everybody.
We don't have to scare everybody off that way.
Yeah, that's it.
Just say something mundane now, maybe.
I'd like to say
I'll go.
something.
Am I on the list? I'll go.
Yes, Nancy, go for it.
Oddly enough, I am the perfect person to follow the story of the sponge in a very sort of obscure kind of a way. I met my darling Cheryl way back in the dark ages of our 20s. And we were waiting tables in Georgetown of Washington, D.C. And we met like in March, and of course we all know her birthday is June 30th. And her wonderful parents and her family drove down to DC to spend her birthday with her. And I was just in awe. It was so different from my own family that two parents would love their daughter so much. They would drive hundreds of miles just to see her. And so after our shift, we were upstairs. I think Eric, you were there, and I'm not sure if Adam and Joella, if you were there as well. But we were upstairs, we were at the bar, and we were having a drink. We were off shift, and Diana, I felt like this is my fairy godmother. She was just so beautiful, just lovely, this lovely outfit. And Sai gave me this great big bear hug. And Cheryl, of course, because she's my friend, was like, and she's doing this, and she's doing this show, and she's doing this. And what I was doing was really not that great, not that big of a deal at that time.
Bullshit.
But they treated it as if it was. And that was what was amazing to me, because I was the black sheep of my family. I'm an actor. I was in a family of scholars. And this is the first time I'd come across parents who said, that's wonderful. So we were having a glass of wine, and and Diana was just telling all these stories. And all of a sudden she turned to Cheryl and Eric and said, kids, I want you to know, one of the reasons our marriage is so happy is your father is such a great lay.
I said that. Yes, everybody believes it.
And I just went, what? And Sheila was like, oh, please, we talk about this all the time. And Eric, of course, who can handle anything, said, glad you're happy, Mom. Good for you, Dad. And Sai had this sort of sheepish, devilish grin. And I thought, I am now mentally adopting these two people as my fairy godparents. This is it. So, life went on, life happened, and I worked and I didn't work. And anytime something happened, professionally for me, I would, of course, always call Cheryl, and she would say, oh, I got to tell my parents. That was the segue. Oh, I got to go call my parents. I've got to tell them. And a few years ago, Cheryl, you might remember this, I booked a movie that was really, I booked big movies before, but this one was huge. And I called her, and she was on a plane with Rob. They were about to take off, and she was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we're in a plane, but we're gonna land in 2 hours. But I love you. I'm gonna call you when you land, but I have to get off the phone because I cannot scream now or they'll think I'm a terrorist. But I have to call my parents so they can scream for me. And apparently they did. So that was lovely. That was what I had lived from that time in Georgetown. I lived my career saying, I want to do them proud. I want to do them proud. It was always in the back of my mind. Anytime there was a booking, anytime something happened, it was like Sai and Diana, they'll find out that I'm doing this. And that happy-go-lucky, kind of waitress was hitting her stride. And Cheryl knows this as well. On Sunday, I got some good news about a movie that's opening very soon. And I found out about it just before she called to tell me that she had lost her father. And I had this image in my head, like I found out that day because that was a way of me knowing that this was a blessing from Sai and Diana. It had to be that day. No other day would have happened. And sort of in my head, I could sort of, I hadn't talked to him in years, but in my head, I could sort of hear him saying, don't you worry, pretty girl. I'm going to find your dad. And we're both going to look over our beautiful girls. So I'm Irish. My family is Irish. And I'm here to raise a glass to my fairy godfather who is up there and my beautiful fairy godmother who I can see in the middle of my screen. And one of the dearest friends of my life, my darling girl. I do not have an immediate blood sister in my life, but you, my sweet one, you are the sister of my heart. And as we say in Ireland, Salancha.
Lancia.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Good.
Salancha.
Thank you, Nancy.
Of course. Mwah.
Well,
And I
there's,
love you.
there's,
Sorry not to say that. Love you, love you, love you all.
Love you too.
there's clearly a recurrent theme here that I have experienced myself. I think I met Diana and Cy in 1999. I was sitting on the porch in Akumal.
Lenny, this isn't when you got that sponge stuck, right?
No, this was after. This is when, and so and my Leah and Will, my kids and Betsy had left, and I was having a cup of coffee. And there were these two people there, Diana and Cy, as it turned out. And there was this magnetism that happened. I don't even understand it. And somehow I got up and went over and started talking to them. And we decided we'd go over to Casa Diana and have a drink later that night. And I came home and I told my family this, and they said, "What are you talking about? You never talk to anybody. No strangers ever. And what do you mean we're going to a drink at somebody's house that you just met?" But it was the beginning of what was an amazing relationship between Betsy and I and Cy and Diana. I can say for me, Cy was the father who I never had. Well, Diana, it's a little more complicated, but we spent so many days together in Akumal, and they came to our house in Maine, and they came to Boston when I got a chair at the medical school. And they've been close friends, and we don't see them that frequently, but every time we're together, it's like we were together always. So the recurrent theme is that everybody wants them to be their parents. And if not a substitute parent, an accessory parent. And so it was great being with Diana this weekend, being around Cy and the whole Wiener family. And I don't think I'll ever find anyone like Cy again in my life. So I love him, and I love Diana, and I love the Wiener family. So
We love you, Lenny.
I'm sad to be here, but I'm happy to be here.
We're happy you're here too. We love you.
We love you too, Lenny.
Love you back. Mwah.
And for all the help that you've given us over the years as well. Thank you so much, Lenny.
Hey, I wanted to get this in. I talked to Eric the other day, and then talked to Adam right after I found out. And, I'd never met a person when I first moved to New York and Tracy introduced me to your family. I was like, it was like immediately Uncle Cy. It was Uncle Cy, Uncle Cy this, Uncle Cy that. Hey, Uncle Cy, it was just everything. And I remember the very first time I met him, I don't remember when it was. I don't know the exact date, but I remember he picked us up we were getting off a bus coming from New York, and to spend the weekend with everybody. And first time I get to meet everyone there. And he picks us up, and remember that big white sedan he had, that big one. I can't remember what model it was, but he was telling us all about, you just gotten it. He's just well, then it wasn't but like several months later, and then my father-in-law came up there, and they get into this little back and forth, like, well, my car's got this, and my car's got this, and my car, and they're like,
Someone.
Someone. But so it was that kind of, just the friendliness, the warmth, the fun. I mean, that I had up there, I will always cherish, always remember. It's and Uncle Si is just like my father. Their father-in-law. They were just these iconic figures, and they lived. And as I said about my father-in-law, and Uncle Si did this too. They both lived very epic lives. You could just call it epic. And then I just want to leave y'all with 2 words. Some of you will understand its meaning. Well, actually, probably everybody will understand its meaning, but those that were there will remember it. Was, what's they doing? The schmucking Mercedes. It was like Christmas on Fifth Avenue, going right there in front of Trump Building, and some Mercedes cuts in front of him, and he just goes off on him, and it was great. It was great.
We like to
It
hear
was-
that.
It was classic Uncle Si. So anyway, I love you all. I'm so sorry that it's just it's an era. It's an era passing. There aren't that many people like that anymore. And
Sure.
and I'm also blown away by the fact I'm seeing Tim after all these years, and I have not even. I mean, I remember him coming into New York and hanging out with us. So anyway, great to see y'all all.
Good to see you, Chris.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
Love you too. Thank you. Mwah.
Debbie wants to say something. I see that on the chat. Debbie Silvestro.
Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know who I am, I was Diana and Si entrusted me with 2 and then 3 of their most prized possessions, which was their babies. I babysat for Eric and Cheryl and then Adam. And Adam, I know you're too young to remember me, but you have to know this. You were my living baby doll. I had so much fun taking care of you. You were such a sweetheart, and your sister and brother were wonderful as well. So I just wanted to pop in and tell you how sad I am that your dad is gone. He was a wonderful man, and I know you're gonna miss him because I do too. So love you all, and Diana, you are the best.
I love you,
Absolute
Debbie.
best, and I know you're gonna carry on his legacy as long as possible.
Thank you.
Hey, Debbie, I do want to just say, I never got a chance to say this to you, but I really would just say, thanks for cleaning up my diaper all those times.
Just as an aside, Debbie's mother and
Yes.
father.
I see that. You not only look like him, you have his sense of humor.
Yes, he does.
And it's as crazy as it may sound, it was my pleasure.
We fought over babies, always. Women fought over the baby.
Much, right?
Yes.
Love you, Debbie. Love
Debbie's
you.
mother and father bought my mother's business when my mother and father retired.
That's right. You guys probably, you
That's
kids
right.
probably remember. my parents, 'cause
And they had
did
come
visit.
up to the house, and Debbie's parents came to the house many times. So she was one of the kids that grew up in Seagate, much younger than
That's
me.
right.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Debbie.
My pleasure. Love you guys. Mwah.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah, she was a babysitter. She was a good babysitter. She was right down the street. Didn't have to pick her up. Easy.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay,
Where
I don't
are
know
you?
why I can't. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you, Barbara.
I don't know why.
I don't know.
I don't know
why.
how to do it.
That's why.
Turn on the video.
There's
Have
a
to
little
turn on the
video button.
The video?
See if the video has a slash across it. See, this is what happens.
I
with the
see it.
video.
I see
Yeah,
it.
there you
Okay.
are.
There you are.
There you
All
are.
right,
We see
good
you.
job, Bob.
Okay. Anyhow, I can't explain the relationship that we had with Si and Diana. It was just like she was my sister at one point. She was there with every important part of my life at that point. We both were pregnant. And I'll never forget, once I said to Si, I'm pregnant. And he says, no, you're not. You can't be pregnant. And he insisted I wasn't pregnant. 3 days later, I was in such pain. She came running over and she thought I may have had appendicitis. But she says, no, she diagnosed what I had. She said, you have an ectopic pregnancy. And she called Cy in the middle of surgery, and he told him to bring me over. Took my daughter, who ended up with pneumonia, and stayed with her while I was in the hospital. And yes, I had an ectopic pregnancy. Despite that, 2 years later, he delivered my second child, which at first I thought my water broke, and he sent me home because he said, your water didn't break, you peed on the floor. That's what happened to me. But anyhow, there's one thing. Steve, my husband Steve, and Diana did not want to see the movie Love Story. So I said, let's go, Barbara.
Too sappy. Too sappy for us.
What?
We didn't like that kind of genre. It was too sappy.
I know.
First of all, Dad took me to see Love Story. I specifically remember sitting and watching it with him.
All right. Let Barbara tell us.
Well, he took me, and everybody looked at me because I wasn't Diana. But at the end, to show that he was such a compassionate and kind and sweet man, he and I were hysterical crying. That's how we saw a Love Story. He was an amazing person, and I'll never forget him. I loved him so much. And the family, and Diana. Thank you for everything.
We loved you, Barbara. You're a good friend.
Love you, Barbara.
Good.
May I say something?
Yes.
I wanted to say, I want to say actually two things. That I love you all individually. I love every single one of you individually, but what I love most is you as a family. You were always my role models, I wanted to be you, Diana. I wanted to have such love in my family as you have, all of you. I love you all so much for so long. And it's like for me to, even though I'm not a blood relative, I feel like I am part of your family. And the loss is tremendous. Cy was my secret crush always.
A lot of people.
My platonic secret crush always. And but Eric and Adam and Joellen and Cheryl and Di, I love you so much. The other thing I wanted to say is something that I've been grappling with for the last 10 years since my dad died. And I think it's probably too soon, but I'm going to write you all a letter, a collective letter. It's an existential problem that I've had. My dad died 10 years ago, almost just a few days earlier than Cy, on August 26th, 2011. And so this is something I've been grappling with for the past 10 years. It might be too soon, but I will send the email, and I'd love your comments and your thoughts on what I'm going to say to you. Joellen, you are so beautiful. Cheryl, you are so beautiful. Adam, you are so beautiful. Eric, Anna, Mary, everybody, Diana, my love, Rob, hi, Ted, Ben, everybody, Nate. I love you all so much. And I'll always love you. And I hope.
Losing the audio.
Carla, we love you too. And I just want to say that Carla, Jonna, Carla's daughter, dropped off the Zoom a little while ago. You know, she has a little toddler, so she couldn't stay on too long, but she did text me a little thing. I just want to read it to everybody so people know what the sentiment was. And that is, I just want to say how lucky you all are, and we are all and we all are, to have had Cy for so long, and that he was such a personality for everyone. Your family has been a role model for us throughout my whole life. My dad loved you guys so much, but he loved Cy like a father. Therefore, I've always seen you as family, and I really hurt for you right now. Love you all, and please tell everyone goodbye.
Oh, Jana.
Very sweet.
Beautiful. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you are definitely our family, Carla. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Thank
We
you.
wouldn't ever have Mexico without you. We never would have had that magic in our lives. You made that.
No,
happen.
and I think you should come down, all of you together.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea. We'll charter a
That-
plane.
Everybody
that would
on the
be
Zoom
a
tonight, we're all
wonderful
coming to
We're all
Cancun.
coming to Cancun.
Ándale.
I think I'll take a minute.
Ándale.
I think I'll take a
Akuma.
minute and
You gotta
change
brush
the,
up on your Spanish.
change the scene a little, and that is, yes, he was a wonderful guy. Yes, he was a wonderful father, but he also, many of you may not know, he was also the mayor of Akamal.
Yeah.
And he was the mayor of Akamal because every
right.
single restaurant we ever went with Cy and Diana, the owners, the waiters, everybody would come over. And at the Pescador, which was a fish restaurant, at the Pescador, little Carlos would come over and say, I have your dessert ready. I have your ice cream and Kahlua
That's
ready.
right. He's
I
right.
have your ice cream and Kahlua ready, Your Honor. And he would go off and come back. And everywhere we went, it was hard to imagine because he was never elected. But everywhere we went, with his family, without his family, they were like royalty. And he certainly was the mayor of Akamal.
Betsy, when we went down there, just the beginning of July, we went to the Pescador and Carlos, the waiter, recognized me as his daughter. And I was like, yeah, is he pulling my leg? Is he real? He goes, oh, no. Your father used to bring me hats.
He did.
And shoes. And I'm like, oh my God, he really does remember him. And I never pronounce it right, but he always called him the Bank of the United States.
Yes.
And he remembered him. You're absolutely right. He was the mayor of Akumal.
Everybody knew Cy. He was charismatic and he enjoyed it all. He enjoyed everyone. When Carlos was a waiter at the Luncheria, which is a little roadside stand, really, he was a kid. He was maybe 15 years old. And when we would come down, so I would always bring him a fire department hat or NYPD hat. I mean, he adopted him like he was his kid, you know. And Carlos used to call him El Banco de los Estados Unidos. So I would leave a tip, and most of the people at that Luncheria didn't leave a tip. But Carlos was, he was adopted. It was another adopted kid, and he thought he was unique, but there were many like him. Many. Everybody was adopted by Cy. So you know, Cy had a wonderful time there, as he did everywhere. He just embraced everybody, and people just were drawn to him. He was just a great, non-judgmental, and come on and let's get together and let's have a party, and doesn't get better than that. He was a very unique, very, very wonderful.
Well, living in here where he lived for 50 years, I'll tell you, good thing you guys are not living here now, because I can't go anywhere. And, you know, because now it's all been kind of telephoned around that he's passed. So it's like everybody, I mean, I'm walking the dog down the street and I just had 3 people stop, literally 3 people, to say, oh my God, Joellen, your father, you know, always with the story of how he accepted me and he loved me, and just to have that is just, you know, incredible. So I'm seeing it a lot living here, and I'm really proud.
Well, he was a stand-up guy, Cy, and he was ethical, and he had morals, and he had principle, and he would stand up for it. And if he felt that you were, you know, he would stand up for you, and he wasn't afraid of anyone. He wasn't a bully, but he was not afraid of anyone. And he had plenty of run-ins with the political, medical hierarchy when we first came to Port Jervis, and he would never back down from what he felt was right, and he was right, and he won over everybody. And he was a guy who he was completely self-made, and he just made it. He made his life, and he was, as I said, he was charismatic and completely social. I mean, yesterday when Frank Cardos got up to speak at the graveside, and he said, you know, they were in medical school together. When he got there, Cy was 3 years ahead of him, and Frank said he knew everybody. It was just like the mayor of Acoma. He knew everybody, and everybody knew him, you know. And wherever he went, Frank had dinner with Cy one night. All the Americans ate, and he said he used to charge me 600 lira, but when I was sitting with Cy, he charged Cy 12 lira. You know, so I was getting that descuente way longer before he went to Acoma. And people just, you know, and Frank said, I didn't say anything. I just, whatever, you know, I gave him the 12 lira. I was so happy. I got this great meal, so much cheaper, but he knew everyone because the restaurateur, and so I spent the whole dinner talking about Italian basketball. And so I was playing on one of the teams in Italy for a while when he was a student. And so he always found a way. There was always something that he could converse with someone about. And he cared about people. He cared about their answer. You know, I say to him with a supermarket, you bump into someone, he's asking, "Oh, how's your uncle?" I said, "What the hell do you care about that woman's uncle? You've never seen her for 30 years, you know." "Oh, it was very interesting because of such and such." I said, you know, he really cared. And that's why he was so successful in his practice. And that's why he was so loved every place he lived. He was easy to be around. He was smart. He had a good sense of humor. He was self-deprecating, and he didn't have to take center stage. People just gravitated to him, and he could keep a confidence, and he would give you a straight answer. And if you asked him, even if you didn't ask him, he would give you a straight answer and tell you what he thought. And he wasn't afraid to tell you what he thought because he was coming from a place where he really cared about you, which was pretty amazing. It was just incredible to me when I'm thinking about his whole life and striving to be what he became, how successful he was, because he wanted it, but he didn't do it at the expense of anyone else. It was always his own way of doing his life, and it was never bitter about anything. He was happy, and certainly, you know, our relationship helped that a lot, because he knew that I had his back, and we were in sync always, but he was valued. And he valued others, and he was the real deal. My husband, Cy, a real deal. When Nancy talks about, I said he was a great. I probably said he was a great lover, which he was. But you know, I was a baby when I met him, and he was almost 30 years old, and he had lived in Europe for 5 years, and I thought, this is never going to last. And he didn't think it was going to last either. Later on, we both admitted that we thought this marriage would maybe make it for 2 years, because I thought he would be bored with me in 2 years. I'm too young. And he didn't think he could stay with one woman for 2 years. He had a million women and all kinds of women. But we were the real deal. So, you know.
Mom, you were never boring.
Well, at 17,
you're still
you
not
know,
boring.
well, at that point, I didn't know that, you know, that it could be sustained. I was too young to understand.
Diana?
But yes.
I think a lot of the qualities you just said about Cy are about you as well.
Oh, thank you, Roseanne. Thank you.
I have an adjunct to what Joellen said. Joellen, in the last couple of days, everyone I talked to had mentioned that Cy had passed. They either said he delivered me, or if they were older, they delivered my kids.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't talked to anyone yet that hasn't said one of those two things. And by the way, Adam, Roseanne and I just got back a little while ago from the graveside service for Ed Anchel.
Yes,
And,
they died the same day.
Oh,
Oh,
Yes.
And
oh,
I
I'm so
was,
wow.
sorry about that.
and I was talking to, to David, and we were talking about some fishing trips that we used to take and reminiscing on those great fishing trips that we used to do.
He's nodding.
Yeah, in fact,
Boys, my
I
husband-
chatted with David online the day after Ed died, and he sent me an incredible photo that clearly Ed took because he's not in it, but everybody else is in it, and it's just a
Yeah.
total snapshot of like the era. It's like something out of Central Casting. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we saw, he was showing that around to people today, right?
Yeah.
This is,
I love you,
they had an
Jim.
annual fishing trip. The fathers and sons went, and it was funny because of course Cy hated to be in boats or around the water, and he certainly hated to fish. But he went because it was this great, he was going to have some fun with the boys, and he loved it. I mean, he never caught a fish, I don't think, but
Well, Diane, it was great because, we all were working, we all were so fascinated with our jobs and so entrenched in our jobs. So finally somebody said, we ought to get away for the weekend. Let's do the boys' weekend out. So on Thursday morning, we would head for the St. Lawrence Seaway. We hired a guide, this guy, Vic Swenson, who was terrific because he was an elementary school teacher. And, we all went up to the thing.
Vic made the trip.
Yep.
Vic made the trip, Jim.
Friday and Saturday. And of course, my son, I remember the first trip we made, I think he was 5 years old, and he caught his first fish, and he held the fish up and wanted somebody to take off the hook. And Vince said, no, you take it off the hook. You caught it, you take it off the hook. But we had so many fun times, but it was interesting because I went up, and of course, everybody else on the trip was Jewish, and some of the families were kosher. And we went to have shore lunches, and the guide would cook about 5 pounds of bacon. And before the bacon come off the skillet, it was gone. So
everybody liked the bacon anyway.
it was amazing. But those trips were something that we still talk about today. And I think we did it for like 10 years. And, Adam, you grew up doing it. Richard grew up doing it. David, Michael, we all grew up together doing those trips. But I must admit, some of the stories that Cy said when we were out on the fishing boat delivering women probably involved some of the people on this call.
Probably.
I must admit, he never mentioned names. He wouldn't mention who they were. But some of I remember the thing about, I think he had a Cadillac with white upholstery.
Oh, that was
And this lady delivered on the way to the hospital on his white upholstery. And that is such a funny, I still remember
Yeah,
that.
she did that right in front of Nathan's in Coney Island. That was before we
Right.
moved up to Port
Yeah,
Jervis.
I remember that story.
Yes, yeah. And he said, "Don't dirty my car." She's having a baby. What's she supposed to pull and what you're supposed to do? But
I love telling that story.
Well,
that was a great.
Yeah, but what service, huh?
Yes, what
Diana,
service?
I want to tell you before you go on to something else. I don't want to dwell on this, but when we were throwing dirt on Ed, I said Godspeed Ed, and I also said Godspeed Cy. So I want you to know that.
Good. Thank
Okay.
you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to hear about Ed. That's too bad.
Hey,
Adam-
just very briefly, for those of you who are wondering, this is the photo.
Yep, there it is.
Oh my God, look at that photo.
Jackie Gruber and.
By the way, that good-looking guy on the far right, that's
Yeah,
me.
yeah, right. And the good-looking guy in front of you is Adam with the red
Yeah.
shirt. And then Eric, and then Cy is in the back, looking good. He's always talking, of course.
Talking.
Yes.
And so David is the one in the yellow Elton John shirt.
Right.
And Rich is next to you. Your son Rich is next to him.
Yep.
Michael Anchel next to him.
Yep.
Noah.
Noah.
And
Noel is next to Michael.
Yep. And Hugh is behind Michael.
Right.
And looks like Jackie Gruber, right? Is that
Yep.
Jackie and Steve Gruber.
Steve Gruber.
Stevie.
Look how little you all were.
I always had a crush on Jackie.
Of course, he was.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, he was the
Look at that
cousin of
cool
an old
shirt.
boyfriend of mine.
This doesn't have much to do with Cy, but looking at that picture, I realized how similarly Kaden looks like a young Eric. They have the same
Yes.
face.
I
There
know.
you go.
Kind of crazy.
That's how it works.
I
The genes-
agree with you, Gail. Absolutely.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Yes.
Diana,
Tammy.
you know how much I love you. You've been such a part.
I've got a great story for you,
Uh-oh.
Diane. Ah,
Wait a minute, someone was talking. Who was talking?
I'm
Tammy.
talking.
Tammy's
Tammy.
talking.
Hi, Pammy.
Yeah, this will be quick so that everyone gets a chance, but Cy touched my life more than many, many times in my life. There wasn't a time that I didn't meet him, that I didn't get the biggest hug and kiss. And there wasn't a time that when I didn't call you that he yelled from the background, Pammy, Pammy, and I could still hear the voice in my head. Your family touched my life because you have a very unique, very special family. And your marriage was incredibly special. Not many people have what you had with Cy and what you have with your children. And I just want to say that it has touched my life over the years. I love you all very, very much. I'm so sad that I'm so far away, but I promise you that the next time I'm in New York City, Diana, I will be there. I'll be
Good.
knocking on your door.
I'll be looking forward to that, Pammy, very much.
And I love you all, Cheryl, and all of you, Joellen, Eric, and your beautiful son, Adam. You all look beautiful and wonderful, like your mom and your dad. And may God bless you all. And I love you very, very much.
Love you too,
back.
Pammy.
We love you, Pammy. I miss you.
I miss you too.
Definitely.
Love you, Pam.
Love you guys.
Diana, I have one for you, Diana.
Okay.
Many, many years ago, we decided that we wanted to get out of Milford. And so we decided to go to the Bahamas. So
You really want to tell these stories about the Bahamas?
yeah, so we're all adult in here, aren't we? We all went to the Bahamas. There was Ed and Sandy at that time, and Di and Cy and my kid's mother, as I refer to her, Burma, and myself, and we all went to the Bahamas. We get on the airplane. I guess it was Newark or LaGuardia or whatever, and Cy says, Jim, I have Diana sit with you. You know, so she sits down with me. The plane starts to taxi and she grabs my arm until it bled. Little did I know
I
that
hated
she's
to fly.
absolutely petrified to fly. Cy's 2 rows back laughing his head off, you know, and there I am with Diana and she is absolutely petrified to fly. And, you know, Cy thought that
Oh,
was
you
the
know, I wasn't in
funniest thing the
control. I
world.
didn't like that. Yeah.
But you
So I
got-
used to palm me off on strangers on planes.
Yes, he did.
And
And
my
I
wife
wasn't
said,
even a stranger.
No, well, you didn't
But-
know that. You didn't know what he was doing.
But in all, you actually learned to fly, which took care of your fear, right?
Yes, it did. It did.
Right. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I won't tell him what happened in the elevator when we got there. That I will.
But it stays in the Bahamas.
Di, I just wanted to say a word to you.
Sure.
You and your children, Adam and Eric and Joellen and Cheryl, I've known since a couple of them were knee high. I go back to the 70s with Cy at St. Francis, and I can still hear the click of his heels when he'd hit the floor off the elevator. He had a distinctive step. He was always dressed wonderfully, GQ. But it wasn't until later in my life that I realized what kind of a man he was. I'm not going to go into all of that right now. Di, you know the story. But I never had a mother and father. And although your mom and I are closer age, your father and I weren't as close in age. He could have probably been my father, but he wasn't. But he became a father figure to me, someone that he was someone that accepted me with all my faults. My limitations. When I listen to things, I know about the hugs and the kisses. I spoke to your dad several days before he passed. And I'll remember the last thing he said to me. He said, "Jan, I'm dying." I said, "I know you are, love." He said, "I love you." I said, "I love you more." And those were the final words. I treasure your mother and father. Your mother and I are more sisters than mother, but she's given me some motherly advice. Don't think she hasn't, because over the years she has, and I've accepted it. And she is my go-to in times when I struggle. He was a wonderful man to so many people. I just don't think he probably even knew the depths to which people loved him.
No, I want to leave this one on.
But
I can't say.
it makes my heart full to hear everyone speak of him, and that we will never forget him. And I will remember him with a great love. And Diane, I'll talk to you soon. I love all of you. Cheryl, Joellen, Adam, Eric, and of course my Diana.
We love you too, Jan.
Love you too, Jan.
Yeah, Janice.
Thank you.
That was a beautiful poem you wrote the day after
Thank
he
you.
died. Thank you for
Totally.
sharing. Thank you for sharing that with all of us.
Oh, you're so welcome. I remember when, I'm not going to go into the details, but those are the words he said to me in a very dark time in my life. Diana knows about it. Very dark time in my life. And he came to my apartment because I had just come home from the hospital after attempting suicide. And he came into my house and he said, "Let's go." And I was a wreck, crying. "No, I don't want to go." "Let's go." And that stuck with me. And the fact that even though I talked to him, I really wanted to be there in New York to wrap my arms around him and say, "Let's go." He wanted to go. We were blessed to have him for the almost 93 years. And so I had to put those words into a poem, and I'm glad it gave you some comfort. But that was the reason that poem came to be, was those words. Let's go.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
You're more welcome. Not needed. Love yous.
Love you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Jan.
Love you, Jan. Always.
I
Yeah,
too
Eric.
wrote a poem. I'm just kidding.
What?
I'm sorry?
I too wrote a poem. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Not
I don't want to hear any of your poems.
There was a young lady from Kent.
Exactly.
That's right.
I like the one from Nantucket. better.
Nantucket. Yeah, I meant
yeah.
Nantucket. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. It's sad, but it's really it's totally weird seeing my Aunt Diana, without my Uncle Si. That's just totally surreal to me. And I know it is to all the kids for sure. But in listening to everything that everybody has said, it's very it becomes very obvious to me how important and significant, not that I didn't already know it, but listening to like various different people talk, it becomes very obvious how important and Uncle Si was to my dad as far as guidance. And, you know, I'm not saying that he didn't get any of that from Poppy Pete and Nana, but we know that he guided my dad in a lot of things. But when you hear these stories about, when I hear these stories about how beloved all of his patients loved him and stuff like that, it is, you know, my father might not have been the smartest guy, but he took some pretty good notes from a really smart guy on how to maneuver. And as y'all are all aware, he maneuvered very well.
Yes,
and he listened very closely, and you know, but as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you know, I don't really, I'm pretty stoic in these situations. My family will tell you, you know, Adam called me and he says, you know that he loved you. And I'm like, you know, he really loved you. And I'm like, duh. I'm like, I mean, it was like, I mean, it was at a moment, you know, it was at a moment. And I was like, you know, he was just a badass. And it was so cool growing up, having this towering father that I had, and having his older brother like be a shorter older brother. It was like, but dad would always be like, he'd look down and Si would go this way, and dad would go, we're going this way. So it was a weird visionary thing, because you would think that the older brother is going to be the tallest, you know, and but I know that doesn't mean shit, but it's Friday, and so, you know, what can I say?
So I'd like to jump in here. I'm a one of the 5-star friends, and like to give a few remarks. So
Love you,
think of
Craig.
it like think of it like an arranged marriage. So my husband Peter and I moved to 5-star on May 17th of 2018. And we were told we would be assigned table mates for dinner. Fine. I was too busy to think much about it and what it might be like to be paired, trapped, maybe with 2 other people. Augustina Reyes was the 5-star move-in coordinator, and she paired us with a couple who moved in the same week as we did. That couple turned out to be Si and Diana. Much has been said about them as a couple, and I treasure beyond words my friendship with Diana, but let me talk here about Si. Si Wiener, kind, open-hearted, tolerant, patient. Characteristics that I understand might not be uniformly applied to all situations in his long life and career, but different situations bring out different things in people. And with Peter, with both of us actually, but mostly with Peter, Si was infinitely loving, patient, and kind. Hello, handsome, he'd greet Peter. And occasionally I got a hello, beautiful. Si would talk about tennis, of course, and the differences between clay courts and grass courts and hard courts, and who played best on what courts. Who knew? And he talked about other sports as well, especially women's basketball and the UConn girls. But he also responded night after night to a favorite question of Peter's. what's on TV tonight? And books. Cy loved books, and he loved talking about what he was reading. It reminded me of the days when my father used to read me chapter books, because day after day, we'd get another narrative installment of whatever book or books Cy happened to be reading at that time. We really enjoyed it. Coming to 5 Star from Riverdale in the Bronx, Peter and I wanted to introduce Cy and Diana to some of the dining establishments beyond the 5 Star dining room. So we went to Lobster House on City Island and 089 in the Belmont, which is to say Italian section of the Bronx, and Jake's Steakhouse and X2O right here in Yonkers. We loved Cy's stories, especially about his years in medical school in Italy and the many adventures he had there, and the growth of his medical practice and his bond with Sister Mary Holywater, not her real name, of course, the administrator of the hospital where he came into his own. We loved how he relived those experiences in the telling of his tales. So I asked Peter earlier today what he wanted to say about Cy. Peter said, I knew I'd have trouble with this part, but Peter said he was a good man. That's the best thing you can say. What else do you need to say? I have to agree. Cy was a good man. Am I right?
Yes. Right, Dad.
You're right.
Yes.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Janice.
See, my
That
two
was beautiful,
my two
Janice.
Janices are here tonight.
Thank you,
Can I
Janice.
say a few things today? Can I jump in?
Of course.
Absolutely, Maury.
God damn it, Jan. Is that you, Jan? She forced me to raise my hand, and I'd say it's for all good reasons. I would say everyone had said a lot of things that I wanted to say, which makes me feel less special, but I think it makes Grandpa even more special of how unique he is. But I think in summary, if I had to put it in context with keeping it together, is it doesn't take a whole lot of light to shine through the darkness. And I think Grandpa's smile is something that I was always thinking about as everyone was speaking today, that I couldn't contain a smile, because every time they mentioned a story about him, I was thinking, yeah, like I could just vision his smile. And those that know me know that I would run through any wall. And Grandpa is one of those reasons why I'd run through every wall. So losing him is a little rough, but up until now, it was it was a happy moment, because I know he's winning at the end. It's what he wants, and I actually was doing a lot better until I started speaking. But
I know what that's like.
We get it.
I will say is I've been blessed in the shortest form to be around the family, and I have one grandfather, and he's in a better place, and I have a grandmother who looks great, and I hope hope I can see her soon. And I think it's a sad but happy moment. It's bittersweet, as I've told Ben and Ted and Nate, and I just think of his smile every time I think of his name. So thank you everyone for introducing what it's like to have a perfect family, in the sense of it's not perfect, but as I told Cheryl years ago, it's perfectly imperfect. So thank you.
Thank you, Maury. We love you.
Love you, babe.
And he did love you like another grandson.
Love you, John.
Love you, bud.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say something. I've been trying to find some meaning, and I don't know if there is any meaning in it, but there has to be something to the fact that the week that he died, almost within a day, all of a sudden women's reproductive rights took such a big hit.
Right, just when we needed him.
And it's just been on my mind, and I don't know if the fact that his when we lost his light, it was just like this bigger darkness is enveloping. And nobody here has the fight right now, but man, we gotta start fighting once we get through this. That's it. That's all I want to say. And
I thought about that, Sharon. You're not alone in that thought.
Me too, Sharon.
so weird. So weird. I don't know when the text, I don't know when that Texas law hit. It hit at midnight because of the deadline in the Supreme Court, but I don't remember how that related relative to Sai's time of death. But it was so damn close. It was like, holy shit.
I think there's some of my in-laws that are online that wanted to say something too.
Okay.
Dryden's, Cornelius, are you out there?
How about cousin Carol Wiener's here too? I see.
Oh, cousin Carol Wiener too,
Yes.
yes.
Hi, Carol.
And Amy.
And Amy. There's Amy. Hi, Amy. Hi, Eve. My girlfriend, Eve.
Carol, you're on mute. I can see you're trying to say something.
I know I'm hitting the wrong little button there. It's up at the top. Hi, everybody. Oh gosh, I'm just enjoying just being here and being with everyone. And you're just all so beautiful, and it's just good to be here and meeting all the kids and the grandkids and you know, I feel really honored to be a kind of a distant part of this family. And I have some regrets about not being closer and not finding you again for years. I always thought about you, and I remember before my mom passed in 2009 that Cheryl, I think you were getting remarried, and I had no way to get in touch, and that's kind of how it started. And I wrote something on Facebook, but I think it was Messenger, or I don't know what it was at the time. And then like years later, like 2 years later, Diana found me, and I saw this message. And so it was just kind of, you've come back into my life, and I am not close with any family. It's just been very, very kind of strange. And you know, Dad, Milt Wiener, I really do think there's this thing in the Wiener family, this spark, this kind of, you know, often blue-eyed, that doesn't have to be though, but because, you know, it's in every one of you guys. And it's just something that makes them bigger than life. And you just, you know, when you were talking about he was mayor of here and everybody knew him, and you know, that was my father. But you know what, that was also Uncle Julie. Yes. You know, Julius Wiener, same thing. I mean, I went to go visit him in the towers over in on Long.
Yeah.
And do you know, he knew everybody. He'd walk the hallways, everybody knew him. Oh, you know, and they joked he was the mayor, you know.
Excuse me, Carol.
Yeah.
One thing, I want to just tell everybody that Carol's father, Milt, and his brother Julie that she's talking about were Sai's first cousins on the Wiener side, although they spelled it, their name the opposite of us, the EI to IE. But Milt Wiener was larger than life, marvelous, marvelous, and Julie, his brother as well. And we were very close with Milt and the family and his family, and his wife Joyce, who was beautiful and wonderful. And first time I saw Carol, she was 3. And we were just getting married, Si and I, and Milt would, she's right. The Wieners have this charismatic thing. They know everybody gravitates to them. And I just wanted you to get the context of who Carol was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Milt and
Yeah.
Julie were two badasses. They were super badasses.
Yes. Bye.
I just remember being so in love with Milty. He was so gorgeous, and he was so formidable. He'd walk in a room and you were like, breath would be taken away. I adored him.
Yes.
$1 million smile.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And Julie too.
They all
and
looked and
Julie-
carried themselves like Frank Sinatra.
Mhm.
They were like
Yes.
all members of the Rat Pack or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
With a little Rock Hudson thrown in there. I don't know.
Yeah, no, Carol, I have distinct memories of being at your house in Great Neck.
Yeah.
I have distinct memories of listening to music with you guys. I was just that few years younger that you guys were like the cool girls. They were the coolest places. And one of the things that I remember, and I always was in love with, your parents' bedroom, the wallpaper with these roses.
Really?
Do you remember? You don't remember that? Oh my
No.
God, your mother had such gorgeous taste. And I just remember your whole house. But I just remember that going, oh my God, this is the perfect bedroom. But you were to me like to be idolized.
Oh,
when I was growing up.
you were kind of like a sister to me. You were so close in age. And when we got together, you know, I just would always gravitate, you know, to you. Although I think am I closer to Eric's age?
Yes, because Eric's a year older than me.
Yeah, but you were still little kids together.
Right.
But we're only a year apart, but I was the girl too. So I
Yeah.
followed you around like a puppy dog.
No. And did I write that out? I remember the last time, or one of the last times I saw you, I stayed at your apartment while everybody went to go to a show because I did a colonoscopy prep at the restaurant before the show. I don't know what I was thinking. And then it was like, okay, I think I better take a taxi somewhere. And you gave me the keys to your apartment, and that's where I went while everybody else went to the show. It was
And that's when I lived. That's when I lived in the West Village.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes.
I don't even know where I was. I just know
Carol,
that-
I lived with your mom one summer, which was the greatest like summer I ever had. I think it was 1980.
Oh, Tracy, oh my God, that's you. I haven't seen you in forever. And oh my gosh, the two of you, it's so good to see you. I was saying, and Craig, hi. I didn't even know that was you. Oh my God.
I loved living in that complex. I was, even at that young age, I thought Retirement Village was like amazing and like an achievement.
Which, on Long Island or Florida or where?
The Long Island.
Oh, right. Well, you know, that was the
Was it
tower.
North Shore Towers?
Yeah.
Yes, that was it. North Shore
I
Tower.
loved it.
We called
Really?
it Sodom and Gomorrah.
That was the best.
You did call it that.
We did, yeah.
Oh
It's
my
a little city, you know, it's something like that, and everything was underground, and then I think they sold them off as condos, and that's where Julie and Phyllis and Uncle Julie lived, and for years, and yeah. So that was so funny. I can't believe it's so good to see you guys.
I think I lived there for like 3 months.
Yeah, really?
By myself, because your mom was gone. She like went on like a big trip, and I was ready to go to school in New York. And I definitely stayed there for like 3 months. And it was
that's great.
And I was, you know what? You keep talking about the mayor. I was the mayor of my world at that.
Oh, see?
I'll tell you something, Craig. When you
21
were living,
years
when you were
old,
living
I
there,
felt like
Craig,
the mayor.
Craig, that story that I told yesterday about at the memorial at the graveside, where I told that story about me buying the clothing. That was, I actually went and stayed with you the night before that at Sodom and Gomorrah, and I remember staying in that. It was a pretty cool place.
Oh, it was like I felt like the man or the king. I felt like the king at 21 years old, maybe 22.
Well, when I was going to nursing school at NYU, I lived with my mom there. And so so that, well, at least part of the time. So, and then I moved into the city. So, but yeah. And, I can't remember, there was a jockey that lived there, a well-known jockey, and I can't remember his name. Little guy, but
Really? That's a shock.
That's so.
Or a boarding house it was.
Was it all right? Well, the same thing was with my mom's place in Florida. She just always had, there were always people coming and going and staying for weeks at a time and, taking their vacations there. And she loved it. So, and she loved to travel. So that was good for you guys. That was good. That's so funny. You were there too. So kept everyone together. And when she passed, I had no idea how to get in touch with anyone. And so, she was quite the link. And so it's been kind of hard to reconnect. So, but this has been great. And I can't say what it's going to be like, for your, in the future, not having him right there. But he lived on his own terms, and he died on his own terms too. I really respect that, and I just want to just always just send you my love and my support and strength, and know that I mean, he is you. He is in each one of you. And don't be afraid to, just kind of think, what would he say now? What if I, oh God, he's not, just, kind of tune in and say,
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and,
well, I love hearing your thoughts, Carol. It's great to see you too after all these years.
I know.
Yeah.
Hi all,
If anybody else wants to jump in here and
hi all, this is Pat Dryden, Mary Dryden Wiener's sister, and I'm here with my dad, Raymond Dryden, my dad and Mary Wiener's dad. And we just wanted to express our condolences to the Wiener family and our love to the Wiener family. I mean, Cy was a wonderful man, and Diana, you and Cy have treated me unbelievably in the past. I mean, just so well. And I really thank you both for it. I have so many good memories, of what you've done for me, from diving in Mexico and everything. And Cy was just so generous and such a loving person. And I really, truly appreciate it. And I just want to, express, my love for you and for the family.
Thank you, Patty. That was lovely.
Thank you, Patty.
Yes, beautiful.
Can I jump in?
Yes,
I wasn't lucky enough to know Cy as well as many of you do, but from the minute I met Cy, which was probably maybe 8-9 years ago, Adam, the first time I met your folks, I felt like I knew him my entire life. And the same holds true for you, Diana, and the entire Wiener family. And I just want to thank you, send my love to everyone, and just thank you all for sharing him with us. He really was a special guy, and even the time I knew him, it came through every day. And just seeing, the whole family and hearing all these stories, I just feel like I know him so well now. And thank you for this, and for sharing him with us, and love to everybody.
Thank you.
Andy. And a little fun fact here: Andy's father,
yeah,
and dad went to Erasmus at the
really?
exact same time and graduated the same year. They did
Oh,
not know each
wow.
other.
I
They did
didn't
not
know
know each other, but grew up near each other. And
Yeah.
we're both Erasmus graduates of the same year.
Two Brooklyn boys.
Yeah, Andy's father was busy studying, and Dad was on the
Busy playing
playground
basketball. Chasing girls, or they were chasing him, whatever. Thank you, Andy. Mwah. Thank you. Yeah, it was,
Speaking of what would Cy say, I just to give you an image, I had the privilege of just being with him in the last week or two of his life, and he'd have to fight a little for air in order to talk, but he would make people smile. Another word I heard people mention tonight. And there are very few extraordinary souls who can at that moment have the sensitivity and just the right sentiment to make the person who's sad and is visiting actually make them smile and feel good about visiting. And I'll always remember the things he said to me and those soft hands of his. And what an extraordinary man. And he knew just what to say.
he did, yes. And you know, observing those last few weeks, especially the last 2 weeks, when people would come to visit, he made people smile. He was kind of not even communicating, and one of Joellen's friends was at the bedside, and he said, "You were always my favorite." You know, and it was you didn't think he was even, you know, aware of anything, but he was, and he always wanted to make everybody feel better. So it was extraordinary, really. And
Adam.
hi, Steph.
I will say one more thing, and then I'm going to have to leave my house and go to my sister's. But there's no question that, you know, it was really fun, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure for Adam, when we would get together, which was often, all the time. And we totally played, you know, Ahmed and Adam was Cy. And it was like the first cousins. And we never really had to say it. We just did it. And it was like, and we will continue to do that, you know, forever, carry on the tradition. And I will miss him very much, very, very, very much. He taught my dad how to be cool. And, you know, that's pretty cool in my opinion.
Yes, I mean, I agree.
Love you, Craig.
I love you too. I love all you guys. It's great seeing all you up here and up here, Cheryl. It is magnificent seeing you. And I will be in your city actually for New Year's this year in DC for a wedding.
I'm not in DC.
Oh, you're not? Where are you?
I'm in Nyack, New York.
So you're not going to be in her city then?
I've actually been there.
I mean, she still owns DC though.
Look, is this, wait a minute, hold on. Do you want her to meet you halfway in Washington?
Yeah, we're always about
Craig, I'm in
halfway.
DC.
This family's
we can
halfway.
drink together.
Nyack, New York, right on the river. So beautiful there.
Yes, it is.
Totally.
Guys.
Cheryl, you're very close to me. I'm in Mahwah, New Jersey. So let's get together and do lunch. I would love to see you, kiddo.
Who's saying that?
Debbie, your babysitter.
Debbie, oh my God, yes, we're so close.
Let's do it.
I would love that.
Okay.
Let's connect on, I know on Facebook, we'll send each other our contact.
Perfect.
Do I see Robin?
All right, guys, I'm gonna have to run.
Okay.
I just wanted
Bye,
to say
Debbie.
I love you all. I am so honored to be part of this family.
Love you.
Diana, take care.
Bye. Thank you, Debbie.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Debbie.
Bye.
This
And Diana, my mom wanted to say that Gatlinburg is halfway.
Yeah, I know. So was St. Louis
Knoxville.
halfway. St. Louis
St.
was
Louis
the big
was
halfway.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
We'll meet you halfway with the
We'll meet
kids.
you halfway in Nashville.
All right. That's okay.
Nyla would like to say a few words here to the crew.
Okay.
Nyla, take it away.
I don't know if many of you know me, probably not, and that is a-okay. I am Gail's girlfriend, but friend of the Wieners for a little while now, 4 years now, which maybe in everybody else's terms isn't a lot, but I guess for an 18-year-old, I think that's a chunk of change. I was never fortunate enough to know Sai personally. I had briefly spoken to him before over FaceTime, but hearing all of these wonderful stories, it's occurring to me how multi-generational this idea and sort of recurrent theme of hospitality and love and warmth really is. So while I didn't know Sai, I do know Eric Wiener, and he has been such an influential and lovely person in my life, offering me hospitality and love and paternal and familial love when I needed it most, allowing me to wake him up in the morning early when I was crying and upset and making me laugh, and really being there for me when I was having a hard time with my family personally. And it just really touches me to know that this is not something that just I have experienced, but that so many people through many, many generations have been able to experience, and for even much longer than I ever have. But I'm just very thankful to be sort of a part of this family, even though I'm not blood, and blessed to know some really, really amazing Wieners.
Thank you, Nyla. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
I see Steffi's here from Santa Cruz.
All the way from California.
Wow, that's a big trip.
Oh, it's just listening here. The thing that strikes me, as someone who knew Sai as the mayor of Acapulco, everyone here believes that Sai liked them best. And I think everyone here is right, because in any moment that you were talking to Sai, you had his undivided attention and the full measure of the intellectual honesty, insight, empathy, morality. You were the center of his universe, and he made each and every one of us feel special, and all the better for that interaction. A quality that I think you share as well, Di. So thank you, Adam, for inviting me. And by the way, thanks for catering for the rest of us.
Thank you, Steph.
Nice to see you, Steph.
Love you.
Thanks for
Mwah.
joining.
Hey, Robin. I see you.
That's Kathy.
Hey.
And Catherine Sadagiani.
Oh, hi, Kat.
And Robin Greenfield's here.
Gwen.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
It's okay. It's okay.
Jump in and say hi.
You can hear me?
And I'm a friend.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Oh.
She doesn't know
I
what
love you guys. I've been thinking about you. I think about you often, but especially now. You're not far from my thoughts in almost my everyday life. So I don't know what else to say. I watched yesterday. It was probably one of the most touching events that I've ever attended. Thank you for sharing that. It was so beautiful. And what a beautiful, it was just so beautiful outside that yesterday. It was, I'll just carry that with me. I don't know what else to say to you, although that you're in my heart.
We love you, Robin.
Thank you. Love you.
Beautiful.
Love you,
Gwen,
Robin. Good to see you.
You too.
Gwen, you were
And
saying?
I'm gonna jump in.
Dang, you guys, I'm so grateful to have been welcomed into your home and into your family. And of course, the memories for me really revolve around Akamal. I'm not sure if I was the favorite friend, but I bet Sai said that to all the girls.
Yes, he did.
That's very Sai. My favorite memory from Akamal is when Sai chased down the Eskimo ice cream pop truck to get a case of ice pops. You know, they were like vanilla ice cream covered with, as he liked to say, delicious dark chocolate, Jojo. But he chased down the truck to get a case of the ice pops for the girls. I think he really liked the ice pops, but we really liked them too. But those years were so amazing. You know, Joellen is the youngest child in your family. I'm the youngest child in my family. And my parents were like so kind of done being parents when I was growing up. I'm so happy that you welcomed all of us. You were still really willing and loved having all of Joellen's friends around. We loved those years so much in Mexico. It was so wonderful being witness to your relationship, which was like, you guys, you had different hobbies. You were a scuba instructor when I first met you, and Sai hated the water, but he loved the beach, and he would get up early to get the palapa for us, again, like he loved being the mayor on the beach. It was such wonderful times, and I'm so grateful that I was welcomed by you to be a part of it, and also to have had the experience to witness your love as a couple and as a family. And it has been something that has made me who I am, and I'm so grateful. I love you so much, and I'm going to miss Sai so much, and I loved seeing him when I did a week and a half ago. And
Thank you, Gwen.
I'm here in New York, and I'm always here for all of you.
Okay. That's
Love you, babe. Thank you.
beautiful.
Mwah.
Kathy.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
How are
Hello.
my heart goes out to all of you.
Oh,
I don't know what to say. Hassan would love to talk, but he can't. He just doesn't have it in him to do today. We watched yesterday, and it was beautiful. And he would have been so happy with the service. Hassan just wanted you all to know, all you kids, your dad was the father of OBGYN in Port Jervis. Prior to that, GPs were delivering babies. So he really brought OBGYN to Port Jervis. And, you know, how many people have stopped and said, oh, he delivered me, or, you know, he delivered my kids kind of thing? He did. I mean, what percentage of the population that he did, you know? And when we first came here in 1980, Hassan was working at Sunnyside Hospital, and so I was the chief over there, so we had to go to him, be interviewed and stuff. So I was very, very tough and wanted no part of Savagiyani coming. And he said, there's no room for you here. And it took Hassan over 20 years to realize there really wasn't room for 3 OBGYNs in town, okay? 2 could do great. And, but God bless Sai, he took Hassan under his wing and brought him in 82, I guess. And
that's right.
Hassan calls him his big brother. You know, he just took such care of it. They worked at 4 different hospitals together between St. Francis and Sunnyside, down in Sussex in the old days, up at, you know, the Horton. So it really, you know, it was a fantastic relationship. Hassan, he introduced Hassan around to all of Sai's patients, so Hassan was able to inherit them, and it was just an absolutely, you know, fantastic relationship. And when Hassan got sick, Sai called him. I told him to stay strong. And we never, ever thought we'd be saved by the Sai first. Never. But we sent you lots and lots and lots of love.
Thank you.
I mean, my best remembrance of Sai is he's the one that drove me to the airport. When I had to go and bury my father. And he's the one that took me down there and was, comforting me the whole way down to Newark. So, Di, you had a great guy. And all kids, you really had a fantastic, fantastic father who he loved very, very much. And he loved each of you very, very much. So from all of us, much love forever and ever.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
sweetheart.
Kathy. We love you too.
Give Hassan a kiss. A kiss from us.
I will.
Yes,
Thanks,
please do. Kisses.
Love you, Kathy. That was
Thanks a
really
million.
amazing, and Hassan was amazing as well.
Well,
You had yourself a really good man too.
well, thank you very
Sure.
much.
Yes.
And thank you for all the computer help in the old days. I'm finally able to maneuver a keyboard because of you, Eric. Thanks a million.
Very sweet.
Hassan was my rock when I was going through my miscarriages. If he wasn't there for me, he was the sweetest. He was the teddy bear I always loved. I yelled at him that he was going on vacation when I was due with Ben. And he says, "It's your first. You're not going to go on your due date." Well,
Yes.
well, there you go.
They didn't know. There was always the baby was in charge, not the doctor, about that due date thing.
That's right.
They couldn't-
Yeah, and he didn't get to deliver any of us because he kept saying, even with me, he was like, I'm getting one. And then with Griffin, he had office hours, so he had to leave, and he was so pissed. He was like, I want to deliver a Wiener baby. This sucks. But he was there. He cared for us the whole time.
Oh, good.
Always.
So please pass on our love to him too.
I will. And he loves you all very, very much.
It's a special guy.
Hey,
Back
Kathy,
up
this is a
with
little
you.
this is a little late, Kathy. I realize like a couple decades late, but I do want to say thanks for driving me to the bus stop all those times.
That's because I wasn't on time.
I'm gonna jump in here real quick. Hi everybody. Many of you probably don't know me, but my name's Tovi. I'm very close
Tovi!
friends with Dana. Hi everyone. I'm actually at Dana's place of work right now, enjoying some mezcal, as I'm sure the Wiener family knows is the way to enjoy any good time. But I just at my grandfather's Shiva, there was some words that were spoken from a poem that was written that really resonated well with me, and I have never really shared them with anyone, and now feels like the perfect time. So I just have a few words that help me kind of move on and help me kind of just remember. And it goes like this: at the rising of the sun and as it's going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of the winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. As long as they live, we live, for they are now part of us as we remember them. And it is very evident here that Sai will not be forgotten and that all of us remember him. And for someone that has not known him to the depth that you guys have, I have just the fondest memories and stories and just such a beautiful family that he created. And yeah, to all you guys, much love, and just had to share those words.
That was
yeah.
so beautiful, Toby. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you guys, and I'm staying on, but I'm gonna mute now. But yeah, all the love.
I love you too.
Yes, love you.
Love you, Toby. So thank you so much for those kind words, and yeah, you've spent you've spent major holidays with us.
Many times.
Yeah.
Many
I mean, I've been there for the
And
Thanksgiving.
Hanukkahs and-
Yeah, all the above, all the above. I'm honored to be an honorary part of the fam. So thank you.
So is Dewdrop behind you there, waitressing? Dana.
Hey, Patrick. I haven't seen you in a long time. Hi.
Patrick and Tim.
Yeah.
So handsome. Good to see you. Oh, you can do that, but you are. Rob Wolf's here too.
Noah Rapp wants to just say
Hi.
hello.
Hi, Noah.
Hey. Hi,
Hi,
Diane.
Noah.
So sorry.
Aw.
Wish we could be there and give you a big hug and just love on you.
We'll take a virtual hug anytime, for sure. Thank you.
Wiener, Southern Wieners are checking out. Love you all.
Okay.
Lots
Love
of,
you guys.
We'll talk soon.
lots of days ahead
Yes.
to
So,
support each other and work through it. But you're all strong. He left us with a tremendous treasure chest of things to live with and live by. So we love you guys.
Thank you, Tracy.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Heidi.
Okay.
Didn't see you. I think you were on a different screen for
Hi,
me.
Heidi. I didn't see you. I saw you for a second.
Hello,
Hi, how are you, beautiful?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for including me.
Sure.
So nice to hear all these stories and see these voices and faces I haven't seen for a long time.
That's right. This is a good time to touch base again and see people and renew old bonds that need to be renewed. This is the time we need to remember where we came from and who was there along the way. So it's very easy to separate. And when people die, everybody can scatter, or we can make ourselves stronger bonds with each other, which is what we need to focus on, because we're really
gonna be done.
we have. And it's the people that we know. And when my brother died, he left a note and he said, everything was, life was interesting and all of that, but it was all about the people that I met and knew and loved. And that's really what we're doing tonight. It's about the people who are all scattered every place and geographically, but we all can remember something about Sai, how larger than life he was in many ways, but really it boils down to each of us and a relationship with him, or time with him, a moment with him, something that relates uniquely to you. And it's, as his wife, I'm very thrilled that all these that he did make all these connections, and he was so charismatic and generous of himself. But really, it's each person and the feeling that they had when they were with Sai. And that's the universality of my husband's and of his legacy. He just made everybody feel good. Because he really liked everybody. He was not everybody, but everybody that really became part of his camp. And he just accepted people for, I said this a couple of times this week to others, who said he was like my father. He was the father I wished I had. He accepted me where my father didn't. Or, well, you showed up all made up, you were done. He didn't look at you and say what a little prick you had been when you were 12, like your father could look at you and say. So, he didn't have, none of those scars were there. You came perfectly wonderful as an adult, and he could accept you for who you were because you were an interesting adult. And he found people interesting, and he really gave a damn about them and wanted to know their story. And that was really the most wonderful part of his personality, because when I met him, he just come back from Europe a couple of years earlier. He had an edge, this guy, he had a swagger. He had an edge. That's what attracted me. But being a nice guy, that wasn't exactly the way I saw him when I first met him. He was this guy who, to conquer this guy this wasn't going to be easy. This was Everest, And it turned out that he turned into this guy who really liked everybody and everybody liked him. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but it did, because that wasn't how I met him. He had a chip on his shoulder. He always was fighting for his turf, and proving to his colleagues that he was as good as they were, even though he graduated from the foreign medical graduate and all. He was always fighting for his place and for his colleagues to accept him as an equal. And actually, he was always their equal and better, because he made himself. He made it himself. And he did it all on his own. And he never lost sight of the prize, but he also never lost his love for everybody. He didn't just fall into OBGYN. He didn't go to pathology. He didn't become a radiologist. He didn't become an anesthesiologist. He became someone who was going to deal with healthy women. These were not even sick people. They were relationships and bonds that were going to be made for a lifetime with the women that were in his care and their families, and the legacy of him sharing that intimate moment with a woman, having a baby, and that baby was his baby after that. I mean, when the house burned down and all the fire people came from all the counties around, they were people that had either been in the house or had been delivered by him, or their wives were delivered by him. That was something that a pathologist is not going to have. And he gravitated to this. This was the perfect specialty for him, because it was people oriented. It was healthy people. And he could support something, life. It was life. And he was someone who was focused on life. Within his household, it was always about life, and new people coming in, almost metaphorically, like being born into the household as adults. So it was he was remarkable in many ways, and I felt it always, but now I'm looking back at the 64 years that we were together, and I see him as this study, of his personality and the way he made his way in the world, and the way he developed all of these relationships with strangers, and with people who then became intimate. Everyone was an intimate to Sai in his practice. I mean, it couldn't be anything more intimate than his practice in every way, physically, emotionally, in every way. He was the man who was in between the wife and the husband, very, very unique. And it was perfectly suited to his personality. And he had a wonderful, wonderful life, a meaningful, wonderful, loving, marvelous life. And he got all the love back that he put out. And that's the way I see my husband's life. And, we fit perfectly together in that life, but Sai was really an enormous spirit for everyone he met, and the people that he loved, which was legion, really. So I have to say,
None more than you, Mom.
well, I have to say thank you to everyone that came tonight and celebrated his life and told their stories and told how much they loved him, because that's what this was all about. And I know that he would have loved to have been present here tonight, and hopefully his spirit is right here with us. And like many people have said, he's part of you now, and people who will think about what would Sai do. Yes, you learn by example with Sai, and he could be counted on. And he was just he was an interesting and wonderful human being, and I'm just so glad I had my whole life with him. It really worked out pretty good,
Worked out pretty good.
Pretty good. It worked out.
Pretty good, Mom.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good. So, you know, I think we're just at the end of this, just perfect. It's almost not.
Yeah, I'd like to thank
Love you, Doc.
everybody also for coming
Okay.
out tonight and joining us. Still a few more would love to talk, I think, and here's one now. I'm not going to cut him off. Rob,
Rob.
please. Mr. Wolf, you have the floor.
I talked about Cy yesterday. I was just saying, you know, I love everybody, and Di, you're the best.
Thanks, Rob.
Here, here.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, in an effort to, I guess, leave them laughing, I created this as a little bit of a joke, and some of you are going to find it very funny.
Oh, good.
I love that. That's perfect. I love that.
All right.
That he would have loved.
He really would have loved that.
Yes, he
I
would.
tried to find a picture of Rafa where he's really breaking down or crying or something, and this was really.
That's amazing.
He's
Except
in
I have to
anguish.
point out a grammatical error.
Your life was an inspiration. What?
Yeah, you're.
Oh, yes, you're correct. I just did this like a minute ago.
Just saying.
No,
There's that
someone
you are
told
I
me to have a
degree.
grammatical error.
Yeah.
you are
I just
I.
want to say that English is not Raphael's primary language.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
true.
I was
That's
actually, it
true.
was actually, he wrote that.
That's right. It was,
Yeah.
it was a direct quote.
Mhm.
Beautiful, Adam.
Okay.
Thank you for that. That was lovely.
I love that. That was perfect. Please forward that to me.
Yeah.
Sure, and I'll fix the
Beautiful.
grammar.
Yes.
No, don't.
I think you should butcher it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Actually, I should.
Really drive the point home.
You gotta throw some Spitalian in there for Grandpa.
Oh yeah.
You alive? Very,
I like
very
it.
much
Vino fresco.
inspiration.
Oh, God. There you go.
There you
That's
go.
it.
Was there anybody who wanted to talk that didn't get a chance to talk?
I'm just gonna read a note that was sent from Beth Gates. She had to leave earlier. She was a lurker. And she said that wonderful hearing all the stories. He was larger than life. John and I always remember meeting him. They met a man in Frisco, North Carolina, whose daughter was delivered by Dr. Wiener.
Wow.
So 800 miles from home, his reach was great. She loves everyone and sends her love to you, Mom, and Eric, and Adam, and Joellen, and all.
Beautiful.
But she had to jump off.
I think my friend Eve wants to say something. She keeps holding her hand up.
Yeah, I just really wanted to say this was a hell of a love fest because everyone that he touched, he gave love to. And that's all there is anyhow in life. And I'm so proud and happy that I had a very short time of knowing Cy, but I got touched by his love. And I would touch his cheek all the time just to check out if he shaved, which he, we both loved it.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that love.
You're very welcome, Eve. It was easy. Sharing love is really easy. There's nothing to it. We just do it.
Just do it.
Yes.
So
You
thank
taught us-
you.
You taught us
Okay,
the more you
thank
give,
you.
the more you get.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good night, you all.
So good night. I think it.
Do we,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to inter, do we have time for one quick note?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Sorry, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Tim. I'm Anna's little brother.
Hi. Hi, Anna.
And I just want to say that it took me a little time to build up the courage to even speak. There were so many amazing stories tonight that I felt a little intimidated. But I wanted to, with respect to Cy and Diana, I wanted to kind of overcome that intimidation and just have a very small story. I mean, I too was always drawn to Cy. Anytime I was around, I always asked him for advice whenever I could, and he was always very generous with it. And I was just always drawn to him as like I don't know, just an amazing presence. So, but one image that is just lodged in my brain that will always be there was the night that the Wiener and the Korean families first met. That was a very interesting night. My parents traveled up from Virginia to New Jersey to Port Jervis, and I was there ahead of time, and I think there was quite a lot of tension, not in a bad way, but more of a nervous tension. You know, we hope this works out, and we really want to make a good impression. And so when my parents arrived, they were instantly just welcomed with open arms, and lots of enthusiasm and just warmth that I'll never forget. I believe Eric immediately hit it off with my parents. Just they both connected through the Peace Corps experience that they were both, you know, so central to their lives. And the two moments that that are just like I will never forget that night is, I believe Eric instantly felt at home and very comfortable, and it wasn't too long before there was one or two F-bombs flying, and Di leaned over at one point and said, "Ixnay on the ucking fay." And
I know I had done so well up until that moment. And, you know,
No,
I knew
we
I
know
blew
what-
it at that moment.
No, we know the bad moment. I know the
Don't
bad
start,
moment.
Joelle, and
I'm
don't
gonna
tell
tell the
me.
bad
Anyways.
moment, but let Tim continue.
Okay, Tim,
So,
sorry.
the night proceeded with many funny and endearing moments. But the moment that stood out to me the most that I'll never forget is after the evening was kind of finished and my parents left. I think I was staying over that night in Port Jervis, and I think there was just this spontaneous relief of nervousness and tension and joy, and everyone was, I mean, I think everyone was yelling at the top of their lungs, basically. Did you see when this happened? Do you see when that happened? And there was such a clamor and like such a just release of energy and emotion. And out of the corner of my eye, I caught Cy, and he was sitting in his recliner reading the New York Times. He was
He had enough.
cool as a cucumber. And I'll never forget that. That was an amazing night. And you know, there were many other amazing nights, of course, and stories, but I just wanted to share that. And I also wanted to say from the Koreans to the Wieners, how much we're going to miss Cy and how much we love you, and what an amazing experience it's been being a part of your lives. And just really wanted to say that. That's it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Pat.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim, that was
I love you, Tim.
That was so sweet.
Love you, Tim, and my regards to Mom.
Absolutely.
Love to
course,
everybody. Thank you.
What we remember from that time is the next morning.
Yeah.
Mom thought she was being so perfect.
I was being so cool. I had been so good, except for the one ucking fay I did.
The coffee mug.
The
Yeah, I
coffee
know what you're
mug.
gonna say.
And she's
God, I
drinking
forgot that one.
coffee. And we all look at her like, Mom, the mug. And the mug was all kind, I think it was rhinoceroses.
Hippos. They were hippos.
Hippos.
The big
Bucking.
mug, giant mug of coffee. And there were all these hippos, like cartoon hippos. And
Having sex.
Having sex all over. And I'm talking to your mother and dad, and I'm being so, doctor's wife-ish. I thought I was being so cool. And then she said to me, Mom, the mug.
Mom, nice mug.
Nice mug, she says. I said,
Mom, nice mug.
I mean, you know, I knew it wasn't cool when I said, why do I always do these things? You know, just, but no, I had a lot of mugs like that. So, you know.
What was your
I
favorite?
didn't pick that one in particular.
Can we still get, can you tell us where to get one? Because I would like to get one.
I don't know if they
find
make that
it.
mug anymore.
Oh.
After that, the Koreans had come and I blew it with the mug, so I got rid of it.
I'm looking on Etsy after we get offline.
Yeah.
I think,
Actually, I
I
have
think
a
my,
photo, in one of my photo albums that with your parents that weekend. There's me standing on the deck with that mug.
Yep.
Yeah.
There
And I
is.
said, oh my God, this is
We have
My,
photos.
now it's captured for posterity, you know.
my brother-in-law and his wife are online the whole time enjoying this. I see they've been laughing on and off. Ray, Ellen, thank you for joining us tonight. I think you guys could. There he is. It's like seeing Ray, Senior.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
I'm not gonna make her say anything, but I'm just gonna say hi to Barbara because she's also been online the whole time.
Right, and she's been on.
Aw.
Yes, okay. All right. So I think
All right.
we'll all go and
Bye,
have a drink.
everyone.
Let's all go out and pour a drink now or something. Love you all very much.
Yeah. Love you guys. Please get a good night's sleep.
Bye, guys.
Finally.
Thank you.
Love
I
you
just
guys.
have to say that I love
Love you
everybody,
all.
and I'll take care.
Goodbye, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye to my two Janices.
Hi, Grandma. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say that I love everybody, and I'll
Love
be
you
listening
too,
to this when I
Dana.
get off work at 2 a.m.
Oh, great. Okay. I got your glasses. Don't forget.
Now, hold on.
Did
Won't
Janice
forget.
leave yet?
All right, now you can come to the after party for the Shiva at the cabinet, and we'll take great care
Oh,
of you.
all right. That's the after.
Grandma,
Yes,
Grandma, did Janice leave yet?
Janice did. She just
No.
left.
Me and Nyla got
Missed
so excited seeing Janet.
Oh, yes, because we all went to the Van Gogh exhibit together.
Oh.
So anyway,
Yes, we did.
love to all of you. I love you so. And what can I say? You know, thank you for being part of our lives all these years. Patty, underwater. Remember those times? We did a lot of good diving together. Remember I said to you and your husband, you'll be buddies, because you'll be the best buddies for each other.
Thank you.
And you know
Good
what?
times.
It's not over yet.
No, it's not. It's not. Carol, to you out there on the coast, love you, sweetheart.
Love you
Okay.
all.
Mom, we're all here for you and we love you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You know you are. You know you are.
Okay, everybody.
Best
Thank
thing
you,
I ever
everyone.
did.
Good night, everybody.
Love you all.
See you in the funny papers.
Bye.
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 Bye.